Indoor baseball at the Astrodome, Houston, Texas. Final stop of a very successful three-city, 10-game road trip for the Cardinals. Tonight, game 2 of a 3-game series between the Cardinals and the Astros. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Texas. I'm Ken Wilson, along with Al Roboski. The Cardinals, since they announced the Pedro Guerrero acquisition, have gone 12-5, and they come into tonight's game having won 5 in a row. Houston trying to stay in a pennant race. They have right-hander Nolan Ryan tonight trying to stop the Cardinals. Ryan, Major League Baseball's all-time strikeout leader. He's the author of 5 no-hitters, and he has won 270 games. And he is with Al Roboski.
Thanks, Kenny. Nolan, you're like to think that you guys are still in a pennant race, and I know that always helps a pitcher that last month of the season.
Well, we feel that we certainly have a shot. We'd like to be in a better position than we are. But I think our attitude as our pitching staff is that each game's very important, and you have to go out there and pitch as though it means a difference in the pennant.
Definitely a future Hall of Famer. Can you look back at any special time in your career that means more than any other?
Well, I think that probably one of the big breaks in my career was when I got traded to California Angels, and I went to a ball club that was in a rebuilding process, and they had the time to let me go out and pitch every 4th day and work out some of my control problems, because at the time when I was with the Mets, they were trying to repeat the '69 season, and they really didn't have the luxury of letting me work out my control problems in the big leagues.
Whitey Herzog has meant an awful lot to your career, hasn't he?
Well, he has. Whitey was in the Met minor league organization when I broke in there, and then we were together with the California Angels, and he's been a big part of my career.
And tonight, Whitey Herzog, hoping as skipper of the Cardinals, he is instrumental in beating Ryan and the Astros. The Astros looking for a win tonight that would move them to within 5.5 of first-place Los Angeles in the West. The Cardinals, the Astros, ready to go indoors here in Houston. Nolan Ryan against Vince Coleman to begin this one here at the Astrodome tonight. And the count is a ball and a strike. Coleman taking a strike, taking a ball, now taking a strike, and he's in the hole 1-2. And when you watch Vince Coleman, you're wondering how many times he'll get on base, hitting .263. He is the stolen base leader in the league. He ignites the Cards offense, and the Cards won last night while Vince did not get on base. And tonight he strikes out to start the game just as he did last night. And for the American or the National League strikeout leader Nolan Ryan, that is number 197. Coleman, Smith, Guerrero, Walling, Brunansky, Pendleton, Oquendo, Pena, and McWilliams. Whitey Herzog's starting lineup tonight. Ryan, strikeouts, they're synonymous.
Oh, he's the all-time Major League strikeout leader. You see his record, under 500. He's pitching very well right now. Just never really played with a good offensive ball club, so he's been, you know, just barely over that 500 mark through his 23-year Major League career, or 23 years in pro baseball.
Ozzie Smith slams it to left, but right at Billy Hatcher, quickly 2 away. Ryan, lifetime against the Cardinals, 9-13. He is barely over 500 lifetime in his career, going back to his days with the Mets. Of course, a very good career in the American League with the Angels. He'll face Pedro Guerrero. 302 is Guerrero's average, 6 homers, 47 RBIs. He has hit .317 in the 16 games he has played with the Cardinals. Coleman strikes out, Smith flies out, and Ryan buries a strike to Guerrero. One ball, one strike. Nolan Ryan, better than a strikeout an inning here in 1988. But has been true so often. He is below 500, 9-11, 2-1.
When you talk to people and you wonder why he has that 270 career victories, but you know, he's just, you know, he's really, as you said, Kenny, lifetime, he has almost 250 plus losses. And when you really look at it, you say, why is this guy that's going to go to the Hall of Fame? He has 5 no-hitters, the Major League strikeout leader, as well as Major League base on balls leader. And they say basically he's never played with a good offensive ball club.
3-1 on Guerrero. And it's 3-2.
When he first came up with the Mets, he had that blazing fastball, throw the ball as hard as anyone in the game. But after 3 or 4 innings, he would start losing a little bit, and the National League hitters started hitting him. It wasn't until he got to the American League and started perfecting his curveball was when he became an outstanding pitcher.
He's throwing fastballs in the first inning tonight. 3-2 on Guerrero. The teams that he has pitched for here in Houston have not been offensive powerhouses, but they have been generally good teams. And if he is in fact a great pitcher, he should be able to, well, be well above 500 with a good team.
I think one difference too with Nolan Ryan, when you look at some of the other great pitchers, the Seavers who he came up with, the Carltons, guys that have been big winners on clubs that did not score a lot of runs.
There's that big curve, and Guerrero is out of there.
Well, he is not as accomplished pitcher as they are. He does not really field his position, makes a lot of errors. He'll walk too many guys. There's that outstanding curveball. It catches Pedro looking.
2 strikeouts in the first inning for Nolan Ryan. Cardinals defense tonight: Walling, Coleman, Brunansky, Pendleton Smith, Oquendo, Guerrero, McWilliams, and Pena.
And Larry McWilliams will be on the mound. This will be his 3rd start against the Astros. He's going to be his 12th start overall. He has 24 appearances out of the bullpen. And Larry, as a starter, is 3-2 with an ERA of 2.90.
Young, Doran, Bass, Davis, Bell, Hatcher, Ramirez, Trevino, and Ryan. Al Lanier's batting order tonight, and Gerald Young takes a strike from Larry McWilliams. Young hitting .259 with 31 RBIs. And it's a strike, and McWilliams off to a good start, 0-2. Young, a lot like Coleman in being essential to igniting this Houston offense. And first base coach Matt Gallant gets applause as he jumps out of the way. Dennis Menke coaching over at third. McWilliams has not won since the 31st of May when he won here at the Astrodome. Still 0-2. And now these Houston Astros have to be wondering when they're going to score some runs against the Cardinals. In the last 5 games between these two teams, the Cardinals have held Houston to only 4 runs and have shut them out twice. And Young is thrown out to begin the Houston first inning tonight. Bill Doran hasn't had a hit all year against the Cardinals. How about your scouting report on Doran, Al?
Well, he has been slowed down a bit by injuries, but he's still Mr. Dependable, the iron horse of the Astros. He gets into trouble when he starts fighting himself, meaning that he's not patient, swinging up at balls, not being as selective. But he is a good hit-and-run man, situation hitter.
And at the moment, he's not hitting much. .257 on the year, but in a pretty rough slump lately. And as we mentioned, hitless against the Cardinals, 0 for 15. 2-0. There you see the last couple of weeks. They play him just about straight away. Like Young, he's a switch hitter, and it's 3-0.
I think everything could be said about the Astros in general. It seems like every pitcher that's gone to the mound has been a Cy Young Award winner. They just aren't hitting anyone.
3-1. It's interesting. The Cardinals and Astros have played 10 games against each other, in Houston in the 10 hitting only .221 against the Cardinals. So Whitey Herzog's club has really handled the Houston offense and consequently has won 6 of the 10, including 3 out of 4 here indoors. And there is ball 4. Doran here in the first walks with 1 out. The Cardinals, by the way, if you joined us late, went in order in the first against Nolan Ryan.
Ask Larry McWilliams how the layoff from being in the starting rotation is going to affect him. It's been basically 2 months since he has made a start, and he says it really doesn't matter. I've never really had a lot of problems. As long as I have my pitches and stay ahead in the count, I'll be all right.
Kevin Bass, 259, 12 homers, 61 RBIs. Moved up in the order tonight by Hal Lanier. He takes a strike.
I asked Hal. We had been telling you how Kevin Bass throughout his career has struggled against Cardinal pitching. And Hal Lanier says, I'm just trying anything, generate a little offense, give him maybe a little protection to Glenn Davis.
He has been a very good hitter in his National League career, but Bass lifetime against the Cards hitting only 180. What's interesting about Bass this season is that he is 3 for 38, and 2 of those 3 hits have come off Larry McWilliams. So maybe Bass in fact really should be hitting third given what he's done against McWilliams.
And I asked Kevin about his lack of hitting against the Cardinals, and he said that it's been a struggle lately. He felt that in 85 and 86 he hit Cardinal pitching fairly well, but he said particularly in Busch Stadium he can't buy a hit. Here he has a little better success. He'll tell you that it's not that they strike me out. I'll put the ball in play. At times they just make spectacular defensive plays and rob me of hits.
Last night the Cardinals made a fine play in the second inning. Pendleton made a very good play against him. A ball and 2 strikes. Bass facing McWilliams. Doran at first, 1 out, no score, first inning. McWilliams very consistent in terms of his ERA, starter or reliever. This one gets away from Pena, and on the wild pitch Doran goes to second.
And watch, split finger pitch, and Tony tries the weight shift but does not get his upper body in front of the ball. It goes off to the side, and Doran gets into scoring position.
Last night, shut out, the Houston Astros did not get a runner to second until the 5th, and only 3 times did they get a runner as far as second base. Glenn Davis is on deck. Doran at second, 1 out. Pretty good breaking pitch, and it's 3-2. First base umpire Jerry Crawford on the appeal, saying that Bass did not swing, and the Cardinals sending some language out to plate umpire Doug Harvey. Probably yelling, be sure you're in the game. Where was that one? There's a liner to left center. That's in there. It'll score Doran. And Kevin Bass, with 4 hits this season against the Cardinals, has 3 of them off Larry McWilliams. 1-0 Houston.
Well, these Astros would like to think that they're still in the pennant race. So with the loss to the Dodgers today, they feel like they can pick up some ground. It's the off-speed pitch. McWilliams drops down sidearm, so that right-handed hitter will get a good look at the rotation. And Bass hitting what we feel is more comfortable. You know, I mean, he is a good hitter.
Glenn Davis, the prolific power hitter, 26 homers, 88 RBIs. And it is strike 1. Davis last night had a double in 4 at-bats. He's had a fine year. Bass with good speed, 26 stolen bases at first base. A ball and a strike. Davis is 4 behind league leader Darryl Strawberry in the home run derby, and 4 behind the RBI leader Will Clark.
Kenny, a lot of people have forgotten about Glenn Davis as an MVP candidate.
It's 1-2. He's put some great numbers up.
Most people think of Kirk Gibson and Strawberry, but if the Astros are to stay in the pennant race, you would have to give some consideration to Glenn Davis.
And that's a big if they stay in the pennant race. There's no doubt about it. If they fade away, then it's pretty tough for Davis to get much recognition. One and two. This all started with a one-out walk to Bill Doran. Then wild pitch to second base was Doran. He scores on Kevin Bass's single, and Bass at first base with one away. Those numbers are about what you would expect. After Davis, Buddy Bell. Throw to first, and Bass is back. 2-2 on Davis.
See the breaking ball that's down and in. Tony loves to throw behind the runner. Bass slides into the back half safely.
Bass's RBI is 62nd. And that one will go foul. Still 2-2.
Williams likes to really drop down to a lot of the right-handed hitters. But if you're a right-handed hitter, even with Larry being so tall and lanky, once that ball and his arm get out in front, you know, away from his body, you can see that pitch very easily. Most of the time you only ask a left-hander to drop down or a pitcher to drop down. Left-hander to left-hander, right-hander, right-hander.
Swing and a miss. Bass to second, and he's in. With his 27th stolen base as Glenn Davis strikes out.
Well, Kendall did a nice job of making sure he catches the ball before applying the tag. So often when the ball bounces in the dirt, the infielder will try and make the tag before he catches the ball. Yes, you'll have a better angle here. The ball short hops him, so he catches it. You got to come up, your glove up with that short hop. When you get in trouble and allow that base runner to go to third is when you try to apply the tag before you have control of the ball.
Buddy Bell, always a dangerous hitter, no matter what his average might be, and it's ball one. Al talking about the afternoon game. Cincinnati won again at Chicago 6-4. So the Cubs continue to struggle, which is good news for the Cardinals. 16-game winner Greg Maddux lost for the 7th time in that game. Jack Armstrong won it for Cincinnati. John Franco picked up his 31st save. A balk is called against McWilliams, and that moves Bass to third base.
Well, it's the second balk committed by McWilliams this season. We'll take a look at it in normal speed. Did not come to the discernible stop.
A run in already against McWilliams here in the first. Bass at third with 2 down, and the count 1-0 on Bell. The Cardinals now, with Chicago losing today, only 3.5 behind the Cubs. 1-1. There you see the standings after the Reds win over the Cubs and the Mets win over the Dodgers 2-1. Houston 6 behind the Dodgers, could be 5.5 out if they can win this. And there was action today in the American. Minnesota won 8-6 over Kansas City. Oakland got 3 in the 8th at home to beat New York 5-4. That's a foul ball. 1-2 on Buddy Bell. At American League East now, the Yankees were 4 back. Now 4.5 out. Detroit leading Boston by just a game. So that gets you up to date to Saturday night baseball. And here it's 1-0 Houston. First inning. 2-2 pitch. And a full count on Bell. It's been a tough first inning. for Larry McWilliams.
Larry McWilliams told me that the guy in the order that probably gives him the most trouble is Hatcher.
He walks Buddy Bell and now has to face that man, Billy Hatcher.
Yeah, that's what was my point. I was thinking on a 3-2 pitch, you'd think he would definitely throw a strike, not wanting to face the one guy that he says probably gives him more trouble than anyone else.
And if there's anybody that anyone on the Card staff should fear, it is this man, because Hatcher this season is 4 for 6 against McWilliams, but even against everybody else, he's had a great year. He's hitting .421 against Cardinals pitching, and 2 of his 4 homers have been against St. Louis. Strike 1. So here's a guy you really have to handle carefully, Billy Hatcher. 2 outs, a run in. Astros at first and third in this spot. So you got to stop him here. Good breaking pitch. And McWilliams jumps ahead 0-2.
It's like it might be the fork ball, but he takes a lot off it, and it has a big break. Billy Hatcher is a very aggressive hitter. He is basically a high fastball hitter.
One and 2. At third base, Kevin Bass. And at first base, Buddy Bell. Bass driving in the Houston run with the only Astros hit in this inning. McWilliams has walked a pair. And this one to Pendleton. All the way across the diamond to retire the side. 1 run on 1 hit, 2 left, and after an inning, Houston leads it 1-0. Ryan said before the game, Whitey Herzog very important in his career. Whitey was in the Mets farm system when Ryan was very young as a pro, and we asked Whitey how he remembers Nolan Ryan.
I had Nolan Ryan as an 18-year-old in the New York Met organization when I was director of player development. At the time, of course, he could throw a baseball 100+ miles an hour. He had the greatest arm I'd ever seen. Little did I realize that Nolan would still be pitching at this late stage and still be throwing the ball in the 90s. He's one of the great arms in the history of the game.
Nolan Ryan pitching here tonight at age 41 with a 1-0 lead. He faces his former teammate Denny Walling leading off the second inning. And it is ball 1. Walling, Brunansky, and Pendleton here in this inning.
Kenny, I was asking Whitey about Nolan Ryan. I said, obviously, when the Mets traded him to the Angels, you could not have endorsed that deal. He says, definitely not. And so I remember the late Bob Sheffing called me on a Saturday night and says, I want you to get a hold of Leroy Stanton, an outfielder, and tell him that he's been traded to the Angels for Jim Fregosi. He said, I just saw Fregosi. I wouldn't trade Stanton straight up for Fregosi. Little did he know that Don Rose, Leroy Stanton, Francisco Estrada, and Nolan Ryan were all traded for Fregosi.
2-1 on Walling. Not the best deal that was ever made. Walling's got a chance, and that's an infield single. The Cardinals have their first base runner. The interesting thing about that deal is, you know, that Gene Autry wanted a ton for Jim Fregosi because Fregosi was always one of his favorite players.
Oh, exactly right. The captain of the Angels, everything. He was just his favorite. You see this high bounder. Davis fields it, but then Ryan kind of gets in his way. I don't think they would have gotten Walling, who at 34 years of age runs still fairly well. He gets down the line here. Ryan goes over to cover, and then they get a little bit of confusion.
I guess a foot race with a 34-year-old and a 41-year-old helps that 34-year-old look pretty fast, doesn't it? Brunansky. And it's strike 1 on Tom.
Brunansky started in the Angel organization. And, you know, I asked Whitey, I said, what do you remember? Because he was reunited with Ryan as a coach with the Angels. I said, what do you remember of Nolan Ryan as the Angels? He said, I remember one game. He pitched 15 innings, struck out 20 or 21 batters, and threw 239 pitches.
2 strikes. Other than that, his arm felt pretty good the next day.
3 days later, he threw a 1-0 complete game shutout.
That's one thing about Ryan. He's always been a workhorse.
You know, Kenny, he has averaged 139 pitches per start throughout his career. Whitey says that De Leon has thrown the most pitches on his staff this season in one game, 134.
2 strikes. Ryan, of course, puts a lot of body in on that last pitch. Where we are upstairs here on the mezzanine, you could hear him grunt as he threw. And of course, they've always talked about his legs, the big strong legs, the great push-off that Nolan Ryan gets.
To me, he is the only player that you can hear grunt on almost every pitch in baseball. No other pitcher, you don't even hear him grunt at all.
Nolan Ryan, one of 2 pitchers to win 100 games for both teams in both leagues, or for teams in both leagues. Of course, winning 100 with the Angels, winning 100 in the National League. Only Cy Young had done it before.
Didn't Milt Pappas? He won over 100 in one of the leagues, and I think it was 99 in the other league.
Pappas, of course, had a great career with Baltimore, and then came over to the National League with the Cubs and almost had another career. They play Brunansky to pull, and he doesn't get it. He strikes out, and 3 strikeouts for Ryan. That gives him 199 this season. Let's pause 15 seconds for station identification. This is the St. Louis Cardinals Television Network.
This is your home for Cardinals baseball. KLJB TV, Davenport.
Cards trail 1-0, second inning. Walling at first, 1 out, and Pendleton, with Walling running, slices it into the crowd. Terry coming in with a 5-game hitting streak. And Whitey trying to get Walling to second base for his big RBI man. Houston getting a run on a walk, a wild pitch, and a Kevin Bass single in the first inning. Pendleton at 251, 5 homers, 48 RBIs. Houston in double play depth. Good fastball. That gets there in a hurry. 2 strikes.
Nolan Ryan's fastball is still rated 91 to 94 consistently this season.
Great arm speed, the quick wrist, the strong legs.
Your velocity comes from that leg drive and the flexibility in your arm.
1-2 on Pendleton. Davis holding at first with Walling. Ryan now is strike away from another 200 strikeout season.
Be 12 in his illustrious career.
There goes Walling, swing and a miss, and Walling is safe, and that's 4 strikeouts tonight for Ryan. 200 on the season. He leads the league.
Well, it's another major league record. 12 seasons with 200 strikeouts or more. He's had 5 seasons with 300 strikeouts. You can never be embarrassed striking out. But look at that location of it. The high velocity and perfect location away. The high throw from Trevino, and Walling slides underneath the tag.
That is Walling's first stolen base as a Cardinal. And Jose Oquendo will try to bring him in.
That also was now stolen base number 200 for the Cardinals this season.
That's exactly right, which is another record. The Cardinals with 200 stolen bases for the 7th straight year. It's the first time it's happened really in modern baseball history. First time since 1915. The last team to steal 200 or more bases in 7 consecutive seasons, the Detroit Tigers, early in the century. And of course, that's the Ty Cobb era of the Detroit Tigers. 2-0 on Oquendo.
That's a trivia question. Who would say would get number 200 for the Cardinals? Did you think it was Walling?
Denny Walling. Who else? It's not unusual to steal bases against Nolan Ryan. You can almost steal at will against him. 3-0 on Oquendo.
Well, those are some of the finer points of the game, Kenny, that Nolan Ryan has always never really helped himself. You can see 46 stolen bases, 7 times pitcher's been caught, and they say he is much improved on holding runners closer now. He'll make the errors. He'll throw an awful lot of wild pitches. This season he has 10 wild pitches.
That's a strike, 3-1.
Committed 7 balks. And then the biggest thing is he's also the major league leader in base on balls throughout his career. 2,439.
And a walk to Oquendo. So that is the first walk that Ryan has given up against 4 strikeouts. Cardinals at first and second, 2 outs. And the Redbirds trail 1-0 here in the second inning, and the batter will be Tony Pena. Of course, when you talk about Ryan, you always talk first about the fastball and the strikeouts. And we mentioned he already has 4 in this game. In his career, he's had 10 or more strikeouts in a game 180 times. Unbelievable.
Yeah, in our notes, we talk about De Leon with like 13 times in his career.
Tony Pena with 42 RBIs trying to tie it here in the second inning. And he can't get around on that fastball. 1 strike.
You know, a lot of people wonder about Tony and say that he would hit better if he hit lower in the order. But really, in some ways, he is an outstanding 8th place hitter because of the fact he's a free swinger. So when pitchers try to pitch around him, looking for the pitcher on deck, that's his pitch.
They give him right center field. Up the middle, and Ryan spears it. Over to Davis, and a walk and a single, and the Cards lead 2. They trail here in Houston 1-0. Houston has the lead on an RBI Kevin Bass single. This program is authorized under television rights granted by the St. Louis National Baseball Club Incorporated solely for the entertainment of our audience, and any publication, reproduction, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the St. Louis National Baseball Club Incorporated is prohibited. 34-year-old Larry McWilliams hoping to settle down a bit here in the second inning. He walked Doran with 1 out in the first, while pitched him to second, and Doran scored on the Kevin Bass single. Here in the second inning, Rafael Ramirez hitting .260, then Alex Trevino and Nolan Ryan, and it's ball 1. Houston trying to get their offense going, get back on the winning trail, and try to catch the Dodgers. Al, how about your scouting report on Ramirez as the count goes to a ball and a strike?
Well, he's a typical Latin player, a free swinger, doesn't walk often, but they say that he is one of the better clutch hitters on the team.
And he's back to the dugout, Pendleton to Guerrero.
They also feel that if he was a little more patient and had better concentration at the plate, he would hit at least 40 points higher.
Alex Trevino, the catcher from Mexico, at .250. He's hit a lot better than that lately. 1 strike. Trevino in last night's game was 0 for 3.
Alex was telling me that his brother-in-law was my shortstop in Mexico in 1971.
I was surprised anybody can remember back that far. Where'd you play in '71?
It was in the winter leagues. It was Wasabi, Sinaloa, Mexico.
I've been there many times.
Oh,
Beautiful place. 2-1. Where in the world is that?
It is off the beaten path. It is about an hour or so north of Culiacan, a half hour from Las Mochis.
You pinpointed it exactly.
Exactly. Oh, about 2 hours from Navajo. Now you know where Navajo is.
Sure, of
Fernando's.
course. Sure.
That's where Fernando Valenzuela's from.
3-1. And Trevino, the 8th hitter in the order, draws a walk. So where is it? What is it, a little town, I take it?
It's a very little town. It's really off the highway considerably. And in 1971, we were the Mexican champions. Pacific Coast, it was like their winter league. This town is so small, believe me, Kenny. There was one hotel there, and they had no restaurant. It cost $1.60 a night to stay there.
Nolan Ryan, not much of a hitter, 3 for 59. The question here is, can he bunt? Trevino at first, 1 out. And he bunts it foul.
You know, that's another thing that Nolan Ryan has never really helped himself as a hitter. He's always, you know, for a guy that's got better than 4,500 innings pitched, he's never learned how to sacrifice.
Well, your point is that he strikes people out, he overpowers you. But one of the reasons he doesn't win is there are a lot of things he does not do well. 1 ball, 1 strike. Hold runners, field his position, hit, bunt.
He's really a hard worker now. I think he's tried to work on some of those finer points, and that's what's kept him around at 41 years of age. But Whitey was saying even as a minor leaguer, he was pretty lazy. He had to force him to go out and run and work hard at his game.
2-1. They call that in Texas laid back, partner. Up north, we call it lazy. Of course, Nolan is from this area, has his ranch in Alvin, Texas, not far from the Astrodome. He gets it down. McWilliams to Oquendo. Trevino to second base. He's there with 2 away.
If people think I'm nitpicking on Nolan, I sure wouldn't mind watching him pitch and perform over the course of a year. He does get this one down. He had very good mechanics, had the bat out in fair territory, dead in the ball. McWilliams fields it, throws to Oquendo covering.
Houston now will try to make it 2-0 on a walk again. As we mentioned, Doran walked in the first, was wild pitch to second, scored on the Bass single. Now Trevino walked, sacrificed to second, and Houston putting their hopes on the shoulders of Gerald Young. And the curve ripped to right down the line. That'll fall. Here comes Trevino. He'll score 2-0. And into second is Young. And he has 32 RBIs. 2-0 Houston. And oh, those bases on balls.
I think if you did a study, you would find out that base on balls will come around to score about 70% of the time. McWilliams drops down again to a right-handed hitter, leaves that ball out over the plate, and it's very hittable. If you throw that ball away, that's where you expect it. This ball was perfectly placed. Bernansky, knowing he had no chance to get Trevino at the plate, decides to try and get that ball back into the infield and keep a very speedy runner only at second base.
2-0 Houston. Bill Doran takes a strike. And the interesting thing, Al, Doran walked in the first inning, scores. He's 0 for 15 against the Cardinals in a terrible slump lately. And Alex Trevino, the 8th hitter, not exactly Babe Ruth, and he gets walked. They both come in to score. 1-1. This is probably where Doran is as dangerous as anyone here. And you can see the difference in his average with the bases empty and runners on. And in this case, Young with great speed in scoring position. 1-2.
Doran has done a good job with men in scoring position. But if you talk to the Astros coaching staff, they will tell you with a man in scoring position, the guys that they would want to see at the plate are Ramirez and Buddy Bell.
2-2.
Of course, when a pitcher gets himself where he becomes a little more predictable in what he will throw, that hitter at the plate has even.
KLJB TV.
The walk total for McWilliams is 3 with 2 outs in the second inning.
If you're going to walk people, you can't follow it up with giving up base hits. Better to not walk anybody, period.
Well, you know you're going to give up some hits along the way, so you're right. Better not put anybody on. Look at this. Doran the single. Young coming to the plate. Bernansky's throw offline. Doran to second, and it's 3-0 Houston. Doran's first hit of the season against the Cardinals, and he has 52 RBIs. That's his kind of spot.
Well, they're playing a little Cardinal baseball right here. McWilliams is becoming very predictable, dropping down to right-handed hitters and throwing the ball away. Where else would you go but to the opposite field? You saw the ball was away from him, and he takes it that way. Bernansky throw. Gerald Young is great speed, so you know you're very remote chance you're going to get it. The ball was offline, so Doran takes advantage and goes to second base.
John Costello in the bullpen, and the first pitch to Kevin Bass in the dirt. McWilliams due up first for the Cardinals in the third. 3-0 Houston in the second inning. This is the same Houston club that had scored only 4 times in the last 5 games against the Cardinals. 2-0. Been a tough go for Larry McWilliams tonight.
He's pitching behind in the count, and Larry McWilliams doesn't have anything he can overpower you. His best pitch is a forkball, which is a good pitch when you're ahead in the count.
His fastball takes it to 2-1. Bass, of course, the fellow we've told you in this series, has had such a tough time against the Cardinals. Only 4 hits all year, but again 3 of them have been off McWilliams. 2-2.
There's the good forkball from Larry. McWilliams dropping down sidearm gives a lot of motion, and he makes this pitch on the inner half. When he leaves that ball out over the plate or the outer half, if they take it the opposite field, he's in trouble.
That one about 3 or 4 feet in front of the plate. 3-2.
Every time he tries to put a little bit extra and pull down on the forkball, he bounces it in the dirt. Tony does a nice job there, shifting his weight, using his upper body just to stop the ball.
2 down, 2 in. Doran at second. And this one hit into the gap, and that'll get down. Doran will score. 4-0 Houston. And Bass goes into second base. He ought to throw a kiss to Larry McWilliams. And Bass 2 for 2 tonight, now with 63 RBIs.
Well, Kenny, that was that pitch. He gets the count full, and he leaves a hanging off-speed pitch out over the plate. Now look at it. It's out over the plate, and you see they take it to the opposite field. Very, very hittable.
And Whitey with Costello ready in the pen on his way to the hill. And Larry McWilliams' outing tonight will be an inning and 2/3. Three walks certainly do not help him. He strikes out 1 and gives up 4 hits. His first start since the 2nd of July. His last win here the 31st of May. And of course he's gone 0-5 since. And unless the Cards rally big, that'll go to 0-6. Local break coming up, and we'll return in a moment. Houston with an early 4-0 lead, and the Cards' new pitcher is John Costello.
John Costello has done an excellent job for Whitey Herzog. His 27th ball game. Look at that ERA, sparkling 0.74. He has only given up 3 earned runs in his first 36 2/3 innings, and he has allowed runs in only 2 of his 26 appearances. But John has really done an outstanding job of pitching his way into the plans of '89.
Also behind him in the pen, one of the 6 newcomers joining the club here last night, beginning to warm up. And that would be the fellow the Cards picked up from the Detroit organization in the Mike Heath deal, Ken Hill, who pitched all year at Arkansas in Double-A ball.
And Kenny, you and I both saw Kenny in spring training, and before he pulled the rib cage muscle, he was very, very, impressive. So always had a very live arm. His biggest problem has been control.
John Costello, probably best described as, sneaky or deceptive. Going to try to sneak a third out from the Astros here in the second inning before they do any more damage. And he's got a fella who's not sneaky at all, Glenn Davis, to battle.
It's a little surprising, isn't it? 21 of his 26 home runs have been against right-handed pitching.
Davis struck out in the first inning. He went around, says first base umpire Jerry Crawford, and that's one strike.
Well, this is a perfect pitch because you really look at that running fastball. That ball just takes off, exploding up and in, and you get a big home run hitter. You scare him a little bit, but you get the extra bonus of the strike.
4-0 Houston in the second inning. Bass at second and 2 outs. 1-1. The Cardinals won the opening game of the series here last night 2-0 on Joe McGrain's 3-hitter. Costello working in relief of McWilliams here in the second.
Now they decide to intentionally pass Davis.
That'll put runners at first and second with 2 outs, and they'll pitch to Buddy Bell. Not exactly a pushover with men on.
Whitey playing the percentages here. But Buddy Bell is a very dangerous hitter with men out there.
Now we talk about how dangerous Bell is in a spot like this. How about sharing your scouting report with us?
Well, he's a silent leader in this ball club since he came over from Cincinnati. He is a clutch hitter, an old school hitter. You might get him out twice one way, but the third time he will hurt you. And most of his damage is come like in the third or fourth time at bat against starting pitchers. But he is a guy with his experience and patience. He will go up there and really not deviate from his game. He will look for a certain pitch, look for a certain area, and make the pitcher pay if he delivers a pitch there.
The fastball, and the 37-year-old Bell takes it. Strike one.
See, that's not surprising either. He's never really seen Costello, so go up there, get a look, see where he releases the ball, see what action you can see on the movement of the pitch.
4-0 Houston. 2 on, 2 outs in the second inning. And there's a shot to left, base hit. Here's Bass. Here's Walling's throw. It's cut off. Bass scores. And runners hold at first and second. 5-0 Houston.
Well, the Astros, who had not been scoring runs, we knew it was just a matter of time. Hal Lanier juggled his lineup a little bit, didn't know why, but he just said, hey, let's just see what we can generate. And Buddy Bell, that good hitter, he went up there, took that first pitch, found a pitch in the strike zone. Didn't try and muscle it. He just tried and just make contact and delivered the RBI single.
35 RBIs now for Bell.
Just watch this swing. Reaches out there, just tries to pull the ball through the hole. But he had a very disciplined swing at it.
Billy Hatcher is Houston's 9th hitter in the inning, and Pena goes sprawling for that curveball. Ball one. Ken Hill continues to work in the bullpen. 5-0 Houston.
Well, that's one of the positive things about with the expanded rosters, Kenny. You get into a game like this, we want to see the Cardinals win, but you're also going to see some of the future.
2-0. I asked Whitey how often we would expect to see Hill, Peters, Morris, Lindemann, Booker, and Alicea. And he said probably not very often, especially when we're playing teams that even have a remote chance of finishing first. He says it wouldn't be fair to play them against teams like Pittsburgh and Houston. And he says I really don't know how much I'm going to use any of them He says, but just probably not very much.
Unless you get in a game which appears to be a blowout.
Sure. And you're down 5-6-0. No one's going to say that you're making it easy for Houston. You won't hear that from the Dodgers. 3-1 on Hatcher. Ramirez, who began this inning grounding to third, is on deck.
Well, John Costello is a little bit deliberate with his pitches right now. He isn't free and easy. A couple of the pitches that have been completely out of the strike zones where he's been holding on to the ball a little bit too long.
3-1. And he walks him, and that'll load him up.
Sounds like he has no clue right now. He's not driving to the hitter. He's kind of driving off to the side of the mound.
Maybe we ought to call the bus and put everybody back on the bus, go to the hotel, and start over again. It's been a rugged start. Here comes Mike Rourke, the pitching coach, out. Hill is very ready in the bullpen. Rourke, of course, does not make pitching changes. He makes minor adjustments, and there can't be many any better than Rourke. Going out, Al, and saying a few words and straightening a pitcher out. How many times have we seen him do it?
Well, it's one thing to have a pitching coach that can see what the pitcher is doing wrong with his mechanics, his arm release point. It's another thing to be able to communicate it to the pitcher and get that thought across the pitcher where he can make instantaneously make that change. And Mike Rourke has proven to be the best at that.
Ramirez has driven in 47. 0 for 1 tonight. Bases loaded, 2 outs. And strike one. Houston has already scored 4 here in the second inning. Two strikes.
Mike Rourke makes a visit, and now for the first time, he's pitching ahead in the count.
Up the middle, and Oquendo can't get it. Davis scores. Bell scores. To third goes Hatcher. Ramirez a 2-run single. 7-0 Houston in the second inning.
Hitting becomes contagious. And you can see hitting 0-2. It's a high fastball right up there. And Ramirez, as we talked about in the scouting report, the typical Latin player, that a free swinger, that he will swing at anything that he can reach. And a high fastball is usually the pitch that they love. Also known as a very good clutch hitter, and the man that they say that they want up with men in scoring position. He comes through once again.
Alex Trevino was the first base runner in this inning. He scored the first run in the inning that made it 2-0. And he takes a ball. He is now the 11th Astro to bat in inning 2. The Cards coming in with a 5-game winning streak. 2-0. Seven nothing. Cards trails second inning. Runners at first and third, and 2 outs. The runner at first is Ramirez. Billy Hatcher is over at third base. There have already been 5 walks given to Houston, along with 6 hits. One of the walks was intentional here in this inning to Glenn Davis. He has scored. Three and 0. The pitcher Nolan Ryan on deck.
Costello's really just aiming his pitches, not throwing them with authority or conviction.
The only thing we've seen done with conviction is the Astros swinging the bats. They lead 7-0. Strike one, 3 and 1. McWilliams goes an inning and 2/3, gives up 5 runs, 4 hits, walks 3, and strikes out 1.
Costello really in here for 1 out.
The runner at first goes, and that's a walk. That's half a dozen walks given to Houston. Trevino's walked twice. At third, Hatcher. Ramirez is at second, and Trevino at first base. And Nolan Ryan, who sacrificed earlier in the inning, is the hitter. 3 for 59 this season.
And I think he's on an 0 for 41 streak right now. So if he gets a hit or a walk, we know this is not our night.
He pops it up. Tony Pena. And that is the third out. 12 Astros hit. They score 6, and it is 7-0 Houston. Well, John Morris is back, and John will pinch hit for John Costello here in the third inning with the Cardinals trailing 7-0. John coming off back surgery last season, and it's been an 88 he'd like to forget.
John was telling me he hit 100 at AAA, but he was very happy the fact that he didn't have any problems.
Whitey Herzog saying in regards to Morris, we're going to have to really watch him, and we're going to have to really bring him along slowly. No doubt Whitey would like to have his bat off the bench, to say nothing of his defense, next year.
You know, actually, John was telling me he DH'd the first 3 days, then he was playing in the field, and instinctively he had a ball in front of him. He dove for it. He didn't really want to, but he couldn't stop himself. Just that competitive spirit. He said he hit very hard on the ground. He said, I got up, and he said, I couldn't believe it. Some of the pain went away. He says, I think I probably broke some of the scar tissue.
2 and 1. Nolan Ryan has already struck out 4. 2 and 2. If you're wondering why you would watch a ball game in the third inning with the other guys leading 7-0, the man who was just in your screen is the obvious reason. Nolan Ryan, one of the all-time greats. And that's one of the reasons you watch him. He has already struck out 5. He has fanned 201 this year, and of course he's the all-time strikeout leader.
Just power pitching right down the middle, challenging hitters. There you see the K's being put up.
Ryan has struck out Coleman, Guerrero, Brunansky, Pendleton, and now Morris.
Kenny, there's a lot of other reasons. If you're a good Cardinal fan too, you want to watch this ball game and you want to see Ken Hill's major league debut.
You may see a few pitchers in this game. Coleman takes ball 1. You know, you were talking about Whitey reminiscing when he was talking about Nolan Ryan in the game. He struck out 21 or 22 or whatever Whitey said. 1 and 1 on Coleman. The most strikeouts Ryan has ever had in a game, not to contradict Whitey, is 19. He's done that 4 times. That's remarkable. 4 times he has struck out 19 in a single game. He has 5 already with 1 out in the third. By the way, the Cards have a hit. Denny Walling chopped one off the plate for a base hit in the second inning. So there will not be a 6th Ryan no-hitter tonight. 1 and 2. That is number 6. 2 strikeouts in each inning so far for Ryan.
And as Nolan Ryan gets his curveball or his changeup over, it is night. It's history for the Cardinals. When you throw as hard as he does and he can get those off-speed pitches over, see you later.
Ozzie Smith flied to left in the first inning. I asked Ozzie before the game about hitting against Ryan. I said, have you done pretty well? He refused to comment other than to say, I just try to put my bat out there and hope it's at the right angle. He said, I just try to get the two together, the ball and the bat, and don't make it too complicated.
Well, that's the approach a lot of hitters. They say, I don't want to be embarrassed.
2 outs, nobody on in the third. Cards down 7-0. Look at that pitch.
Oh, see, that's
not hittable, but definitely a strike.
How can you go up there and look for a curveball or a changeup against Ryan? You have to look fastball. So if he gets that breaking pitch, the off-speed pitch is over, you're dead.
You got to give him to him. I don't think you could hit that curve if you knew it was coming, if it's really on, and he's had a pretty good one early. 2-2.
He's just a freak. At 41 years of age, to still be pitching and throwing above 90 miles an hour. After all the innings that he has pitched, he's been on the disabled list a few times, most of the time for leg problems.
There's a liner to Bell, and it's 1, 2, 3. The strikeout total for Ryan is 6. The run total, all Houston, 7. Ken Wilson, Al Raboski in Houston, 7-0. The Cardinals trail. John Morris takes over in center field for the Cardinals. Luis Alicea takes over at second base. Morris, of course, is hitting ninth. Ozzie leaves the game, and Oquendo moves from second to short. And the new pitcher making his big league debut is Ken Hill.
Yeah, there's Kenny, the big right-hander. He was very impressive in spring training, and then he pulled the rib cage muscle, and that sort of ended his hopes. He spent a long time on the disabled list, got off to a very slow start. I think at one time he was 0-7 at Arkansas, ended up 9-9 with a 4.92 ERA. He had 3 complete games in his 22 starts, 1 shutout, 107 strikeouts, and 115 innings pitched.
And his first major league pitch is a ball to Gerald Young, who is grounded out and doubled in a run. 7-0 Houston, third inning here at the Astrodome. Ball 1. I should say ball 2, 2-0. Well, we've waited for a long time to see Ken Hill. And it's 2-1.
How long have we waited?
A long, long time. He is from Lynn, Massachusetts, not too far from Boston. And he is 22 years of age. What's interesting about Hill, Al, is that he was a non-drafted free agent signed in '85 by Detroit. 3-2. When he was in high school in Lynn, Massachusetts, they had a AA team there. So he could not only go to Fenway, but he could go right down the street and watch AA pro ball. Young slips in the batter's box, and he's thrown out easily, and Hill gets the first man he faces here in the big leagues.
Let's take a look at Gerald Young coming out of the box. Taps this ball back to the pitcher's mound. You know, they were talking, I was watching batting practice, and that is not that uncommon here at the Astrodome to have hitters slip in the batter's box. They were saying the consistency at home plate is not a good mixture. They need a little more sand in there. It's too much clay, so it's very slippery.
Bill Doran has walked and scored, singled in a run and scored. And it's strike 1. It's interesting that home plate areas and pitchers' mounds are different from ballpark to ballpark. You would think in this day and age that it wouldn't be that hard to get uniformity and find the mixture that worked and share it and make sure every major league park had it. 1-1. Oquendo on to Guerrero, who scoops it out, and there are 2 down. One of the problems, of course, when you're in a ballpark that has football where they'll take out the pitcher's mound, that's a lot different than a regular ballpark where you don't have football. It really changes what you can do.
And there you see Oquendo changing and playing shortstop. Throws a sinker to Guerrero, who picks it out of the dirt. Yeah, Kenny, that's it. You know, what they have to do here is they have to dig up that entire home plate area and mix a little more sand in there when they repack it.
Ball 1 on Kevin Bass. I know when you pick up a home plate area of dirt or a pitcher's mound and lift it on a crane, it'll crack, and you have all sorts of problems with it. It's not easy for a groundskeeping crew to keep it in shape as it would be if you had a mound and a plate area that just never moved.
And see, there's the difference. You want more clay in your mound than you would want in the home plate area.
There's a base hit for Kevin Bass, the fellow who does not hit at all against the Cardinals. Put him in the 3 spot, and tonight he's 3 for 3. A 2-out single here in the 3rd.
Well, I'm sure glad that you've told us that he is an easy out. Ken Hill throws a running sinker, is diving down and away from Bass, but he's got his confidence right now. I shouldn't have reminded him how poorly he hits against the Cardinals.
Glenn Davis has struck out and been intentionally walked. 7-0 Houston in the 3rd. Interesting to see Ken Hill's fastball against the slugger Glenn Davis. Ball 1.
Well, the one thing that we've noticed from Ken Hill is he hasn't really shown us a secondary pitch, something to protect that fastball. If I remember right, he has a slider and a changeup.
He's still awfully young, isn't he? 22. Yeah.
There's the breaking pitch.
You know, Al, when you look at Hill at 22 and you go to a McGrain, for instance, last night he's 24. We think of McGrain is very young, but not only is McGrain 2 years older, he's got the experience of a college career, and there's a fella right out of high school to pro baseball, Ken Hill. So he is green yet. Two and one. Hill in high school not only played baseball, but he was quite a basketball player and soccer star.
Pena's called for the changeup.
And it's rocketed into the bullpen. 2-2. Kept it down.
He kept it down. But the only thing is he caught an awful lot of the plate, but he had a little bit slower. His tempo, his mannerisms on the mound dictated that it was going to be an off-speed pitch. He did fool Davis. He had him out in front, but he left it too much of the plate.
Now 3-2.
You know, Kenny Hill's biggest problem has been his lack of control. He went to instructional league last fall, and they felt in the last 3 weeks there he really kind of put together his mechanics and became an outstanding pitching prospect.
There's a drive to left center. That's in there. That'll go to the 380 marker. Bass hits third. He'll score. And Davis has a double and his 89th RBI. 8-0 Houston.
Well, Glenn Davis just taught the young pitcher a lesson. When you get into a situation where it's predictable, he throws him a hanging slider trying to throw a strike, you're going to see him do it. Here you see Walling go over. He misses it. Then Morris misses it, and then Walling picks it up and gets it back in.
The Cardinals outfield, Walling, Morris, and Brunansky. The infield, Pendleton, Oquendo, Alicea, and Guerrero, as Hill faces Buddy Bell. And it is ball one. Buddy walked in the first, singled in a run in the second inning. Houston scored half a dozen times in inning two. They sent 12 to the plate. Hill is the third pitcher for the Cardinals. 2-0.
You can see that Kenny Hill does have a live arm, though.
Oh, yeah. Buddy Bell just jumped back from a live arm. Two and one. Third inning here at the Astrodome. Cardinals won last night 2-0. Tonight it is Houston on top 8-0. 2-2. This Houston club kind of stumbling lately. They're in the midst of an 11-game homestand. They're only 3-4. And in their last 22 games, they've won 9 and dropped 13. But they know the Dodgers lost at New York today 2-1. So they're hoping to move to within 5.5 of the leaders. 2-2.
Bill Woods, the general manager of the Astros, I saw him last night after the ball game, and you had thought that they had been eliminated. How down he was. They know time's running out.
The Mets, with their win today, now lead Pittsburgh by 9. Pittsburgh at Atlanta, they're battling rain there. Full count on Buddy Bell. San Diego, by the way, has won at Philadelphia 5-2, the final there. And San Francisco leads at Montreal 3-1 in the 7th inning. That brings you up to date on everything else. If you missed it, Cincinnati beat the stumbling Cubs 6-4. 3-2, 2 outs, and Bell rockets it into the left field corner. Davis will score to make it 9-0. Bell is 2 for 2 and has 2 RBIs.
Well, Buddy Bell, a very good hitter. Good hitter with it men in scoring position, and when you run that count 3-2, it's a little more predictable what you're going to see. Goes out there, and he gets the pitch up, and he hits it hard. Pendleton didn't even have time to react at all.
Only for the sake of humor, Al, I wander back in my mind to the 9th of July at Candlestick Park. The Cardinals were playing the Giants, and in the 3rd inning it was 5-0 San Francisco. They went on to win 21-2. 1 strike on Billy Hatcher. 9 runs, 9 hits so far for Houston. That game in San Francisco, the Giants had 21 runs on 20 hits.
Well, Kenny, listen, we're in better shape now because of the start of the college football season. We're a touchdown and a field goal away.
And no matter how many runs the opposition scores, you can only lose 1 game. A ball and a strike on Hatcher, who is grounded out and walked.
Fans say they like offense. Well, you're seeing offense.
Yep, you've got it. At second base, Bell. All of this damage here in the 3rd against Ken Hill, coming with 2 outs. 1-2.
Well, it's amazing how hitting becomes contagious. You get somebody out there, they start beating pitchers around. The hitter stands in the batter's box, and he just knows that he's going to get a good pitch to hit. His confidence level is up.
1-2. He just fights that one off.
Well, you look at the 2nd inning, the Astros have done some damage with 2 outs.
They got 1 run in the 1st, 6 in the 2nd, and they've scored 2 here in the 3rd. 9-0. And there is Ken Hill's first big league strikeout. 2 runs, 3 hits in the inning. After 3 indoors, 9-0 Houston. Big Saturday night crowd to watch Nolan Ryan and the Astros here at the Astrodome in Houston. And they've had plenty to watch. Houston on top 9-0. And Ryan working on a 1-hit shutout going to the 4th, and he's already struck out 6. He'll face Pedro Guerrero, a strikeout victim in the 1st, leading off here in the 4th. Then Denny Walling and Tom Brudansky. For Ryan, 2 strikeouts in each of the first 3 innings. He has a good pattern going. They give right center field to Guerrero, and it's ball 1. These 2 teams are going to play here tomorrow afternoon. The Cardinals wrapping up the 10-game road trip. Greg Matthews and Bob Nepper. Nepper has missed quite a few starts, out with an injury.
We're going to have it locked up. They're going to be too tired.
Right field, carrying well. Bass to the track to make the catch. 1 out.
No, Kenny, I think you look at the Astros, thinking that they're still in the ball, in the pennant race. You see Bass just drifting back on the high fly ball. But they watched that game today, the Dodgers and the Mets, and they realized Marshall out with an injury. Kirk Gibson got hurt in that ball game. The Dodgers aren't really that strong. They kind of had a patchwork offense in there again today. So if they can win a couple games, they're right back in it.
Denny Walling in his 2nd game as a Cardinal had an infield single in the 2nd inning. He's 2 for 5 with the Redbirds. I agree, Al. You get to Labor Day, though, you better be 5 or closer, and certainly the Astros have that opportunity. If you're not within 5, you're asking for a lot of help from your friends around the league, and even 5 back can be tough, but you still got a good shot.
Well, with their pitching, they're always going to have a chance to shut out the opposition.
1 and 2 on Walling. Now, a lot for Houston depends on Scott. Came back from an injury last night. Nepper trying to come back from an injury tomorrow afternoon. They get those good veteran pitchers going. There's no reason Houston can't win it. Because you're right, the Dodgers are anything but a powerhouse. And what a tough time they have had with the New York Mets.
Oh.
What do they have? 1 win, right, all year?
1 win and 11 meetings. They were
9-0 here in the 4th. Cardinals trail. Center fielder Gerald Young for the 2nd out. Let's pause 15 seconds for station identification. This is the St. Louis Cardinals Television Network.
This is your home for Cardinals baseball. KLJB TV Davenport.
It's the 4th inning in Houston. Tom Brudansky, a strikeout victim in the 2nd, is the hitter. Bases empty, 2 outs. 9-0. Cards trail and 1 strike.
Not to put down Brudansky, but he should have a very tough time hitting Nolan Ryan. And there's been a lot of people that fit the same category.
Nolan Ryan, half a dozen strikeouts in this ball game. Going over 200 for the 12th time. He's at 202 at the moment. In this 4th inning, 3 fly balls. Bass handles this one, and the game goes to the bottom of the 4th. Houston 9, St. Louis nothing. Fans, the Cards and Six Flags want to show you and your family a good time this fall. Hope you'll be at the park for Six Flags night, Friday, September 9th. That's next Friday. The Cubs will be in, and all of you with a paid admission will receive a discount coupon. This valuable discount coupon will apply for fall weekends at Six Flags. The coupon good for $3 off any adult admission or free admission for those age 55 and over. Hope you'll be at the ballpark for Six Flag night next Friday. That's September the 9th. Six Flags night at Busch Stadium. Rafael Ramirez, Alex Trevino, and Nolan Ryan in the fourth as Ken Hill goes into his second inning of big league work. 1 strike. Ramirez came up twice in the second inning, grounded out for the first out, and then singled in 2. 22-year-old Ken Hill. 1-1. McWilliams, Costello, and now Hill in this one. 1-2.
Change up to Ramirez. Had his way out in front on it. Ken Hill has the slider, change up, and a good explosive fastball.
One and two. Alicea, a very good play, and he gets Ramirez at first base. Mike Laga coming into the game here in the bottom of the fourth inning for Guerrero.
It's a slider, and Ramirez hits it off the end of the bat. It goes up the middle. Alicea backhands it and then sets and throws a little bit off balance, and a good stretch by Laga. Nice to see Luis back.
He's a good guy, isn't he?
Yes, he is, and it's nice to see him go down with a good attitude, which he should have, and respond at the AAA level and hit pretty good.
Strike one on Alex Trevino. He walked twice in the second inning, hitting .250. 1-1. Oh, the Cardinals now have Morris, Alicea, Laga, and Hill in the game. Down 9-0 in the fourth inning. Three and one. Now in the Houston pen, catcher and Craig Reynolds playing some long toss, and it's 3-2 on Trevino. Also in the game, Kurt Ford has come in here in the bottom of the fourth inning. Tom Brunansky leaving the game. There's Ford in right field. Sure we're not playing this one somewhere in Florida. Pendleton across the diamond to Laga, and they're 2 away in the fourth inning.
And as soon as Terry leads off in the fifth inning, look for him to take an early shower.
Nolan Ryan gets a hand.
Boy,
9-0 Houston.
We're going to have to be on our toes tonight to keep up with these changes.
1 strike. Ryan is sacrificed and fouled out to the catcher. He did all that in the second inning when Houston sent 12 to the plate and scored half a dozen times. Defensively now, Walling in left, Morris in center, Ford in right. The infield, Pendleton, Oquendo, Alicea, and Laga. Hill and Pena the battery. Ken Hill in his second inning of work. There's a shot to center, and Morris smothers it but fails to catch it. And Nolan Ryan has his 4th hit of the year and his first hit since who knows when.
Kenny, I'm pretty sure that this breaks the record. He had the record for like an 0 for 42 or something of that nature. Morris got a little bit of a late jump, but you see, once again, feeling comfortable enough with that bad back to leave his feet and to make that jarring contact with the hard turf.
Ryan had been 0 for 42 until that base hit. Ball one on Gerald Young, who has a double and has driven in a run in 3 at-bats.
It always hits out of the Astros get them all out of their bats, or we can shut them out tomorrow.
They have 10 hits tonight. It's only the 4th. 2-0 on Young. Now Ken Caminetti, the young third baseman, playing some long toss in the bullpen for Houston. So get your pencils and those lineup cards ready. Ryan at first and 2 outs, and strike 1 on Young. 2-1. Two. Doran on deck here in the 4th inning. Gerald Young, Vince Coleman, a matchup in this 3-game series. Neither one of them stealing a base last night. Young got on once. Coleman didn't get on at all. Coleman tonight striking out twice before he left. 3-2. And the only time we've seen Young on base tonight, he doubled and drove in a run in the 2nd inning. Ken Hill, who spent the year at Double-A, trying to get the final out here in the 4th. And he walks Young. And for the 3rd straight inning, the Astros rally with 2 outs.
Well, Mike Rourke is going to come out and talk to young Ken Hill. After walking that man, that was the one thing you could say about Ken Hill. At least he was challenging people, throwing the ball down the middle, and wasn't walking anyone. He was a little upset with himself walking Gerald Young.
That's the 7th walk, by the way, that the Cardinals have given up tonight to go along with the 10 hits. And Whitey says, I'd rather be fishing. That San Francisco-Montreal game is now 3-3 in the 8th. Still raining. Pittsburgh at Atlanta. The only other action still going in the National League. Milwaukee is bombing the Tigers in Detroit tonight. Boston plays later at California. The Yankees lost today in Oakland. To bring you up to date on that American League East pennant race. Bill Doran has scored 2 of the 9 runs, and it's ball 1.
Milwaukee's trying to make a little run at it. They came into today's action 6 games out, but they have 3 clubs ahead of them.
It looks like Detroit's going to lose, which would keep the Yanks 4 back and Milwaukee 6 back.
Kenny, how in the world can the Yankees, as bad as they've been playing, still be only 4 games back?
That's because Detroit and Boston obviously haven't been winning.
There's a report that Candelaria is saying, I can't pitch for Lou Piniella.
Yeah,
He's the
bring
man.
Billy back.
Yeah, bring Billy back. I can pitch for Billy. And Piniella's the one that signed him to that $850,000 contract.
2-1. The house that Ruth built echoes with discontent.
Jack Clark is fed up there. I've seen published reports that he is close to going to Philadelphia.
That's near California, isn't it?
Yes.
2-1 pitch. Heading towards the crowd. And the count 2-2 on Bill Doran. Bunch of Cardinal rooters there. Some 75 Cardinal fans here with Joe Horner's Cardinal travel tonight. And they get themselves a foul ball.
You know, I'm up in the broadcast booth. I'm working, so maybe Joe Horner don the Cardinal uniform. He can finish up this game.
What size do they have in the clubhouse? 2-2. And Doran strikes out. 2 strikeouts in 2 innings for Ken Hill. And for the first inning tonight, the Astros fail to score. On On our GMC truck scoreboard, Dwight Gooden won his 16th. Mets 2-1 over Tudor and the Dodgers. Cincinnati wins 6-4 at Chicago. And San Diego a 5-2 winner at Philadelphia. 7th inning at Montreal. In fact, as we told you, it's the 8th. It's 3-3 in the 8th inning. And Pittsburgh at Atlanta postponed now. They'll play 2 tomorrow. GMC truck. It's not just a truck anymore from your local Missouri and Illinois GMC truck group. Nolan Ryan against Terry Pendleton here in the 5th inning. More changes. And in left field, still in the game, Billy Hatcher. And that's one out. A new left side of the infield for Houston here in the 5th inning. At shortstop, the veteran Craig Reynolds. He will hit in Ramirez's spot. And at third base, Ken Caminiti hitting in Buddy Bell's spot. Jose Oquendo, the shortstop, has walked in this one. 9-0 Houston, 5th inning. Ball one. Last inning, Ryan failed to strike out anyone. He is sitting on half a dozen strikeouts.
Well, we've got him now.
We're getting back in this one now. We've slowed those Astros down. Or Ken Hill has. 1-1.
Okay, we're going to put in the bomb squad now. I remember we're playing with Whitey in Kansas City. We were in Milwaukee, and we got into a game. I think we were losing 9-0 or so in about the 3rd or 4th inning. Whitey took out every single regular that he had, and he put in all the regulars, or the extra men, all those guys. And he told the regulars, he said, I'm not mad at you. Hey, just not our night, but I want each and every one of you to get away from the ballpark. I don't want you sticking around here. Just leave. We came back and won that game 11-9.
2-2. I'd be leaving now, but I'm staying around just to see if it happens tonight against Nolan Ryan.
Oh,
full count on Oquendo.
It wasn't a very good pitcher that was on the mound for Milwaukee.
It wasn't a Nolan Ryan.
It wasn't
type?
a Nolan Ryan type. And they had they didn't have a good bullpen either. Obviously.
They shade to left. Oquendo walks for the 2nd time tonight. To give you some more on our GMC scoreboard, Minnesota beat Kansas City 8-6 with a 6-run 7th inning at the Metrodome. Oakland got 3 in the 8th to beat the Yankees 5-4. That Milwaukee-Detroit game now is in the bottom of the 8th. Well, why don't we do the scores? There are the finals. Let's go do the scores. Toronto beat Texas 7-4. Chicago at Cleveland, postponed rain. Minnesota, we told you. There is the Oakland victory over New York. And that Milwaukee-Detroit game, as we told you, is already in the 8th inning. And it is 7-2 Milwaukee. Tim Jones will pinch run at first base for Oquendo. Boston is playing at California. Mike Boddicker, a 10-game winner, going for the Red Sox. And Baltimore playing at Seattle. Tony Pena bounced to the mound in the 2nd inning. And it's 1 strike on Tony.
This will be Tony's last plate appearance. I saw Steve Lake with the catching gear on, so he'll go in to play defense next inning.
By the way, GMC truck, it's not just a truck anymore from your local Missouri and Illinois GMC truck group. 9-0 Cards trail 5th inning. One and one. Houston scored half a dozen times in the 2nd inning. That's the big part of their lead. Caminiti over to Doran. And that'll be it. They cut down the pinch runner Tim Jones, who tries to cut Doran in half, and Pena is safe on the fielder's choice.
Caminiti gets the ball right here. He has a cannon. You don't get a chance to see it on this play. Doran had a little bit of trouble with the exchange, and you saw Tim Jones very legally go out there with a slide to try to disrupt that fielder, and he did a good job of it.
John Morris, the center fielder, hitting 9th in the order, and it is 1 strike. John came in the game in the 3rd inning when he pinch hit for the then pitcher John Costello, who, by the way, gave up 2 runs on 2 hits in a third of an inning. That's at about 2 or 3 times that Costello has had a tough time. That's been it, really.
Third time in 27 appearances.
He's had a fabulous year. Pena running with 2 outs and Davis behind him, and Morris grounds out. After 4 1/2, the Cards down 9-0. This game is brought to you in part by Western Auto. Nobody gives you more or charges you less. The Cardinals make a host of additional changes, and we'll take a look at Bob Forsch.
Well, that's one of our changes. There's Bobby. Changed uniforms, and I think he is scheduled to pitch Monday for his new ball club. Wonder how many times he is going to be referred to as Ken.
He looks a lot like brother Ken in that uniform. 9-0. Houston leads it. Ken Hill will move into his 3rd inning of work, following Larry McWilliams and John Costello. Tim Jones stays in the game at shortstop. Rod Booker takes over at third base for Terry Pendleton. The new catcher is Steve Lake.
Poor Denny Walling. He's the only guy that's has not been replaced. So maybe after he hits one more time, maybe we'll get our first look at Lindeman.
We've had enough of a look at Kevin Bass tonight. 3 for 3. He's driven in 2 and scored 2. So he has as many hits tonight against the Cardinals as he's had all season against them. He was 3 for 38 until tonight. Alicea on to Laga, and there's 1 out in the Houston 5th inning. Ken Hill's turned into a stopper.
Well, I was just going to say, we might see now a little bit more of what you can expect from Ken Hill. His major league debut, he has to be a little bit nervous. He had to be overthrowing, doing a few things. Now his 3rd inning of work, he maybe can just settle down and relax.
Glenn Davis settles in. He has an RBI double. And it's foul. And it's 1 strike. Well, let's set the defense for the Cardinals. Walling, Morris, Ford the outfield. Booker and Jones 3rd and short. Alicea and Laga 2nd and 1st. And Hill and Lake the battery. And in the B game tomorrow morning in Orlando at 10. 9-0. Cards trail 5th inning. 1 ball, 1 strike.
See Jim Lindeman going down towards the bat rack, so he will pitch hit for Ken Hill. He will be due up next inning.
Somewhere.
Either 1st or 2nd.
Probably 2nd. Hill on to Laga, and quickly 2 away here in Houston's 5th.
But you agree with me with my assessment? Now you see Quisenberry warming up, but Ken Hill, after his 3rd inning of work, maybe is a little more indicative of what we'll see. Kind of worn himself down a little bit in his anxieties in his debut.
Ken Caminiti, the fella the Astros would love to be their regular 3rd baseman. They brought him up last year. They've gotten him up this year, and he just hasn't hit much. Base hit, center field. So he picks up where Buddy Bell left off. Bell was 2 for 2 with a couple of RBIs and a walk. And the hit total now is 11 for Houston.
Well, you know, the one thing about Caminiti is last season he was working hard to improve his left-handed hitting. Overall, Caminiti hit 246, but only 184 against right-handers. So he goes up there and strokes the first hit.
Billy Hatcher 0 for 2. And of course, Hatcher, the hottest of all the Astros against the Cardinals this season. So it's kind of strange that he'd be the one guy who hasn't really done anything, though Trevino has grounded out and walked twice. 2-0.
Well, it seems like the Astros want to just give away 2 outs and then to turn on their attack.
This is the 3rd straight inning in which the first 2 Astros have gone down, and then they've made some noise. And all that noise they made in the 2nd inning came with 2 away with a walk thrown in. 9-0 Houston in the 5th inning. Three and 1. A quiet crowd here at the Astrodome now, as if they already think they know the outcome. 3 and 2. What they don't understand is this game is still in the balance.
Time to read some fans.
Where is the Jay Randolph mailbag now, right? We've got letters and things from fans. We've got hundreds of Cardinals fans here tonight. Tough play for Booker. Now he's got the runner. Caminetti caught. Alicea will run him to Jones, and Jones gives it to Booker, and the inning is over. Hatcher figures to get an infield single, and the inning ends with a rundown of Caminetti. 9-0 Houston. Not only, Al, does Nolan Ryan have the record 5 no-hitters, but look at that, 9 one-hitters.
There's a lot of people would like to be in that many games.
He is working on a 1-hitter tonight. His first no-hitter, May of '73, and afterwards, that's what he said. Modest. 5 no-hitters. Sandy Koufax had 4. The only hit off Ryan tonight was a Baltimore chop infield single off Denny Walling's bat. It's the leadoff man, Luis Alicea. 1 strike on Alicea.
Well, I want to know what he said after his other 4 no-hitters. Got any more quotes?
Never thought I'd get another one. What else? 215 on the year in the big leagues for Alicea.
He went down and he hit 277 at Louisville.
Had 191 at bats there. Hit a home run, drove in 21. And he rips it into the outfield for a hit. Played by Young. Alicea, his first at bat, has a single leading off here in the 6th inning.
I'm telling you, Kenny, we started the wrong club. We got to get all the Scribinis. And let's see Jim Lindemann. Let's see about Lindy.
He is going to pinch hit here for the pitcher Ken Hill, who goes 3 innings. Gives up 2 runs. Has a pretty good outing in his big league debut. Should I say a decent outing. He survived it. He gave up 2 runs, 6 hits. Walked 1 and struck out 2. Lindemann hitting .206 as a Cardinal. Hit .253 at Louisville with a couple of homers and 261 at bats. This is where he hit his first major league home run here at the Astrodome.
Toughest ballpark in baseball to hit home runs. Busch Stadium being number 2. Then basically a lost year for Lindy, so let's maybe he can do some damage and build some confidence off one of the best.
September 5th, 1986, he hit his first homer here, and he strikes out here in the 6th inning, and that's 1 away. Strikeout number 7 for Nolan Ryan.
Well, here's the good breaking ball. You have to look fastball for Nolan, and he throws that breaking ball. He'll strike out a lot.
Mike Laga will be the hitter. Rich Nickel is here again tonight from Belleville. He wants to say hello to all the folks back at home. Randy and Terry Pope from Southern Illinois are here for the 3-game series. 1 strike on Laga. Dick and Judy Harvey from South St. Louis County are here at the game tonight. Dwayne and Sard Brueggemann, Russ and Cindy Buckman, Rudy and Lori Beckman say hello to their friends in Germantown and Carlisle, Illinois. Here's a shot, foul into the Houston bullpen. 2 strikes on Laga.
Ever wonder why that guy's standing out there protecting the catcher? You just saw why, because Ashby would have been hit in the back of the head. Of course, Ashby didn't do a good job of protecting his backup man. He let the ball roll and hit him in the ankle.
2 strikes on Laga. Karen Deal is here from Decatur, Illinois, visiting her cousin in Houston, cheering on the Cardinals. Big group from Columbia, Illinois here. Brian and Sis Poutler, Ken Van Meter, Kevin Woodcock. Laga strikes out. 8 strikeouts for Ryan. Also Joe Meaner, Rich Glasner, and Tom Ballmer all here from Columbia, Illinois.
What's this 8th strikeout by Nolan Ryan? Let's see, it's once again that breaking ball.
Denny Walling has an infield single and a fly to center. Cards trail 9-0, 6th inning. Alisei at first, 2 down, and Davis playing behind him. Right center, well tagged. Gerald Young still running way back. He's got it. No runs and a hit. Cards have 2 hits. They have left 4, and they trail 9-0. Coming up at the ballpark next Thursday, the 8th, the Phils in town. The Cards, Oxidol, and Dawn getting together. You fans 15 and under with a paid admission next Thursday night will receive a free pair of Cardinals tube socks. To come on out with the entire family next Thursday night for sock night. New pitcher Dan Quisenberry, the 4th used by Whitey.
Well, you see Quiz, that high ERA, but they're trying to figure out a couple mechanical flaws. But after a brilliant career in the American League, 238 career saves, 238. He was the first pitcher to go over. He had the record of gaining 100 career saves in his 238th game. Todd Royale broke that the other day, gaining his 100th save in his 226th game.
6th inning.
Take that.
Craig Reynolds, Alex Trevino, and Nolan Ryan for Houston. You were underground digging that one up. Ball 1 on Reynolds, who went in the game in the 5th inning, taking over at short for Rafael Ramirez. Reynolds hitting .250. The Houston native has done a lot of sitting this year. He hits it deep to right field, and Ford is there, and there's 1 out. To keep the folks happy, nice to get a note from Don and Marjorie Barton, I believe. Hi, Ken and Al. We're visiting sister and family here. Want to say hi to the friends and good Cardinal fans back in St. James, Missouri. Thanks a million. We love the games on Channel 11. Alex Trevino has walked twice and grounded out. 9-0. Cards trail. 6th inning. 1 strike on Trevino, the 8th hitter in the order. Also Bob and Mary Nickel from Godfrey, Illinois are here. Two strikes, to say nothing of John and Sharon Urban and Stacy and Stephanie Huff, formerly of Wood River, Illinois, now living in Houston, out here cheering on the Cardinals. Down the line in left, off Trevino's bat, well hit, and it goes foul.
Very few hitters ever get the ball in the air off of Quisenberry. Gives up a lot of ground ball base hits. And you see a lot of his pitches are just staying out over the middle of the plate. Trevino, a free swinger, he pulls this ball, and it just goes foul by about a yard or so.
1-2. 9 runs, 12 hits for Houston. No runs, 2 hits for the Cardinals against Nolan Ryan. 1-2. We'll be back with you tomorrow at 1:30. Greg Matthews and Bob Nepper, a couple of lefties. Then the Cards home again, remember, Monday night. An early start on Labor Day evening, 5:35, taking on the Expos. And Montreal will be in Tuesday night at 7:35. This one could be trouble for the Cardinals. Walling a long way to make the catch in fair territory. 2 outs. Nice play.
That really was a nice play by Denny Walling. He has always been known as a good offensive hitter, but he can play first and third, left and right. He goes a long way. And for you youngsters, look at how he uses 2 hands. Make sure he can hold on to that ball. Yes, major leaguers do use 2 hands on rare occasions.
Nolan Ryan faces Quisenberry. Ryan had a base hit in the 4th inning, his first hit after going 0 for 42. So he is whopping 0.66 on the year. 4 hits in 61 at bats. Tim Jones throws him out, and Quisenberry has a 1-2-3 inning. And it's 9-0 Houston. To do. How about stopping by Union Station, where you'll be able to purchase and have autographed the Cardinals' Wives Cookbook. It's Cooking with the Cardinals Volume 2. Colleen Bernansky, Rosanna Gieselman, Barbara Ricketts, and Denise Smith will have a cookbook autograph session from 2 to 4 at the B. Dalton Bookstore at Union Station on Monday. Might be nice to stop by on your way to the ballpark for the Cardinals Expos game at 5:35. By the way, the cookbook, Cooking with the Cardinals Volume 2, is $14.95. It's available not only at Union Station, but also in St. Louis at the Galleria, the St. Louis Center, the airport bookstores, various hotel gift shops, most of the bookstores in the greater St. Louis area, and at the Busch Stadium Hall of Fame gift shop. 152 pages, 175 recipes, photographs, bios on the Cardinal personnel, and the proceeds from the sale of the book benefiting charity in the greater St. Louis area. Kurt Ford has his first at bat tonight. He socks it to left center, and Gerald Young gets there to flag it down, and that's 1 away in the Cards' 7th inning.
Astros also making a few defensive changes. Jim Pankovitz goes into play second, and Harry Spielman is now the new first baseman.
Al Lanier and Whitey Herzog not pulling the strings, just making changes. Here's Rod Booker. Booker rips it to center. There's a base hit in his first at bat. And the Cards have their 3rd hit. Let's set up the defense for Houston. Hatcher in left, Young in center, Bass in right, Caminiti at 3rd, Reynolds at short, Pankovitz at 2nd, Spillman at 1st, Ryan and Trevino the battery, and that's the way it started for Houston. Tim Jones pinch ran for Jose Oquendo in the 5th inning. He's the shortstop, and he takes ball 1 here in the 7th inning. 333 is Jones' average. He's had a great road trip, Al. Really starred in Cincinnati.
He sure did. He had that big game, 3 for 4.
Shallow left, just gliding over is Hatcher. 2 away, and retreating to first is Booker.
It's got to be a thrill for a guy like Tim Jones and even Booker, some of these younger players, to get up there and face Nolan Ryan.
Yeah, that's something you're going to remember. It's not just any old pitcher. Nolan Ryan headed for the Hall of Fame someday. Steve Lake, his first at bat. 2 outs, Booker at first, 7th inning. Cards down 9-0. They've had only 3 hits off Ryan. 1 strike.
Well, Steve Lake is once again having a pretty good offensive year. Hitting .292. And I hope he loses He's going to have to buy a vehicle for Johnny Lewis. I think it's a truck or an RV or something if he hits 300. He made that bet with Johnny. Come on, Steve.
I hit 300, I'll buy you a truck, huh? Steve last year hit 251. Source was with the Cards in '86 also.
Steve's recognized as maybe the best backup catcher in the game.
2 strikes. There is the Cards hitting coach, Johnny Lewis.
Wonder who challenged each other with that bet. Steve has done a real good job lately pitch hitting too.
Davis playing well behind Booker at first. 2 down, 7th inning, 9-0. Cards trail. There's a hit into the corner. Booker hits second. The ball hits the wall. Up with the ball, throwing it to Reynolds. Reynolds relay throw to Trevino, not in time. Lake has a double, and that breaks Ryan's shutout bid. It is 9-1 Houston in the 7th inning.
Well, Nolan Ryan in his illustrious career has 55 shutouts. He won't get 56 here, and Steve Lake inches closer to buying that vehicle for Johnny Lewis. Gets a pitch. It's an off-speed pitch out in front, and he pulls it right by the diving third baseman into the left field corner. Booker with very good speed, had a great jump, and circles the bases from first base.
Lake at second, 2 outs, and John Morris 0 for 2, the hitter. John has struck out and grounded out. Pinch hit in the 3rd inning, and the pitcher's spot stayed in the game in center field. The Cardinals 1 run, 4 hits, no errors. Houston 9 runs, 12 hits, and no errors. One and one.
Well, you got to pull for a guy like Johnny Morris. They have really missed him off the bench this season. And I think finally in his mind he knows that he will be healthy.
One and two. Over in the American League, Milwaukee beats Detroit again, 7-3 tonight. Boston, no score in the 2nd inning at California. They're just half a game back. If they beat the Angels, they'll move into a tie with the Tigers in first place in the East. Boston, as we say, half a game back. New York is 4 off the pace. And Milwaukee only 5 back. Morris retired to end the inning, but a run on a couple of hits. And in Houston, it is 9-1 Astros. The Cardinals 88 yearbook is yours through the mail for only $6. Send the money to Cardinals yearbook, 250 Stadium Plaza, St. Louis 63102. 62 great pages. Photos of Whitey Herzog, his coaches and players. It's a great yearbook, and we hope that you will get a copy and have it in your home. The Cards 88 yearbook. It is inning number 7. And Gerald Young is leading off with Houston on top 9-1. Quisenberry in his 2nd inning of work, and it's 1 ball, 1 strike. McWilliams, Costello, Hill, and Quisenberry. Young's hit was an RBI double in the 2nd inning. Here's Ford running in to make the catch. And Quiz has gotten all 4 Astros that he's faced.
And you can't tell you how important it is for a guy like Quiz just to have an outing or 2 back-to-back where he has, good success. For a veteran pitcher, he can build off of that and just think he's back to that good stopper role.
Whitey, talking about his pitching for next year, mentions Quisenberry prominently.
Oh, I agree. I have no problems with it. You've got a free look. You know, he's got a contract for next season, so you have to pay him the minimum.
Jim Pankovich came into the game in the top of the inning at second base for Bill Doran. And he sends a comebacker to Quisenberry, 2 down. Here in the 7th with Houston leading 9-1.
You know, Quiz, when he came to the Cardinals after the All-Star break, had been used very sparingly, so he had some control problems. They've been working hard trying to figure out how to get his motion back now that he's got a little bit of age on him. He's having a little more difficulty opening up, leaving his pitches out over the plate. But I think coming into next season, he'll, you know, be it's a good shot to go out there and give him a spot on the roster.
Kevin Bass 3 for 4. He's driven in 2, and it's ball 1. The Astros haven't scored since the 3rd inning, but they built up that 9-0 lead. The Cards only run here in the 7th on a Booker single and a Lake double against Nolan Ryan. 2-0. Cubs lost to Cincinnati. The Mets beat the Dodgers. San Diego over Philadelphia. Pittsburgh at Atlanta rained out. And still the last word from Montreal. Giants Expos 3-3, bottom of the 9th. The Astros looking to move to within 5.5 of the Dodgers tonight. 3-1.
Most left-handed hitters have success against a submarine pitcher like Quisenberry.
And Bass draws a 2-out 7th inning walk, the first base runner against Quisenberry, the 8th walk the Cardinals have given up tonight, along with the 12 hits.
Remember how I was telling you how McWilliams, a left-hander, dropping down to right-handed hitters?
Yeah.
Well, it's the same thing with a guy like Quisenberry dropping down to left-handers. Once that the ball gets away from his body, they can see the ball so clearly and they can see the rotation.
Harry Spillman, the veteran, 1 strike. Spillman most recently with San Francisco. Played at Tucson and Phoenix, the Astros and Giants farm teams, as well as the Giants this year. 2 strikes.
There are a couple clubs that were interested in Spillman when he was released from the Giants. And one of the reasons why the Astros picked him up, or he chose the Astros, because they said that next year we will try and give you a spot, but if not, we have plans for you in our system.
That'll go foul. Still 2 strikes. Of course, Spillman played here from 82 through 85 before he moved on to Detroit.
Yeah,
so they're familiar with him.
They know him, and they think that he would be an excellent manager in the minor league system, or at least an instructor, coach.
A lot of baseball in his family. His dad was a catcher in the Dodgers organization, had a father-in-law, a pitcher with the Washington Senators. His cousin is the White Sox Greg Walker. The Spillman family from Georgia. Did we tell you last night that Larry Anderson was a free spirit? We did. Even in a pennant race in a 9-1 game, you can afford to be pretty free. Alicea. And Spillman is the 3rd out here in the 7th inning. This game goes to the 8th. 9-1 Houston. The Cards are home Monday night, a 5:35 game. They'll be looking for you at the ballpark for Busch Beer Rally Towel Night. The first 35,000 of you 21 and over with a paid admission will receive a Busch Beer Cardinals Rally Towel. So come on out, have some fun, and wave your rally towel at Busch Stadium as the Cards go after the Expos on Monday night in that 5:35 game. New pitcher taking over for Nolan Ryan is Dave Meads. One of the changes that Houston makes going to the 8th inning.
Well, Dave Meads is just put on the active roster. He was sent down and he had to wait 10 days. So he has just been reinstated at the major league level. The left-hander, what was it, 2 weeks ago or 10 days ago when we were at home, he got the surprise start against the Cardinals and shut them out for 6 innings.
We had the last surprise there, didn't we? 1-1 on Alicea. He had a great game.
He had an outstanding game, and the biggest thing that he did in that ball game is he got ahead with his curveball.
2-1 on Alicea. That was a Wednesday night game, August 17th at the ballpark. Remember that? That was the game that Houston won 1-0. Joe McGrain was the loser. Meade shut out the Cards for 6 innings on 2 hits. And Glenn Davis scored the only run in the 6th inning on the wild pitch. This is the same Dave Meade.
Was it the Shays that could not answer the bell? Or
I believe so. Liner to Reynolds. 1 down in the 8th inning. Well, I'll tell you, who was it?
Or it was either.
It was a left-hander. Well,
yeah,
it was Nepper.
Breaking ball stays up a little bit. Alicea, when his first stint with the Cardinals, had a lot of trouble batting from the right side. So here, at least he showed Whitey he hits a line drive instead of lofting the ball in the air.
Bagnazzi is going to pinch hit here. He's hitting .265. Pinch hitting for Dan Quisenberry. And Meads takes the soft comebacker, gives it to Spillman, and they're 2 down in the Cards 8th. That ball game that this fellow Meads pitched was when Nepper got hurt just before the ball game. It was in batting practice.
Yeah.
He had the groin injury.
Yeah, he's shagging a fly ball.
Right, and Nepper trying to come back here tomorrow afternoon from that injury. Trying to go tomorrow. They're hoping he'll be able to go against Greg Matthews in that 1:30 game. Cards will have a new pitcher in the bottom of the 8th. Then the current hitter is Mike Laga. Up once previously. He struck out in the 6th inning. Ball 1. Ryan went 7, gave up 1 run, 4 hits, walked 1, and struck out 8.
And I just think that's the way to do it. You got a big lead like this, you're in a pennant race, get Nolan Ryan out of the game. Especially after the shutout was eliminated. Allow some of these other guys to get a little work and save Ryan for his next start.
2 outs, nobody on, 8th inning. Cards trail here tonight, 9-1. 1-2. Cards have a chance of their 5-game winning streak ending.
Also, Hal Lanier realizing he has a youngster that he called up from AA ball, Brian Myers. And I think that's him loosening in the bullpen. This is a perfect opportunity for him. Yep, Brian Myers. Good opportunity for him to come into a game and get his major league debut in a situation where it's not life or death.
Houston, after the Cards leave tomorrow, will play Cincinnati Monday and Tuesday nights here. Then they'll go on the road. Spillman beats Laga to the bag. Cards go in order. It's on to the bottom of the 8th. Houston by 8. Steve Peters is the new pitcher as the Cards trail 9-1. Also note, before we go too far with Peters, that Terry Poole entered the game in the top of the 8th in right field for Kevin Bass, just to keep you accountants up to date.
Well, those are the numbers that Steve had at the major league level. When he was sent down to Louisville, he was 1-1, a 3.67 ERA in 22 ball games, and had 2 saves. Steve had a little mechanical problem where he was throwing across his body.
This one is popped up by Caminetti and into the crowd. Caminetti was up in the 5th inning and single. He eventually was caught in a rundown after rounding second too far and was the 3rd out in the inning. Peters following Quisenberry, and Quiz had 2 very strong innings to offer tonight. Once the Cardinals settle down, they've done a fine job. Houston got 1 in the 1st, 6 in the 2nd, and 2 in the 3rd. Since then, they've been blanked, and the Cards got their run in the 7th. 1-2 on Ken Caminetti. 2-2. If you didn't join us last night, we've got something special for you. Last night we were supposed to salute WMKW TV in Memphis, Tennessee. You did not miss it last night. We are doing it tonight. Right center field between Morris and Ford, and look at Morris. What a fine catch by Morris to take an extra base hit away from Caminiti.
Well, that's the one thing that Whitey was concerned. He's saying, I'm not concerned about Morris's bat because being out for so long. What I'm happy to see is that he's able to run. And there he can prove that he is still an outstanding defensive player.
Now we'll get a pinch hitter for Billy Hatcher. It'll be John Fischel.
John Fischel is one of the guys that spent a little time here at the major league level, but they like his pop in his bat. He has a little home run power. They're saying now he's become a little conscious of it, hitting an awful lot of fly balls.
He is 2 for 9. John Fischel. Ball 1. For those of you who are still with us, you're not going to miss our salute tonight to WAYK TV in Orlando, Florida, another great station on our expansive Cardinals television network. He does have some home run power. And that one is out of here. 10-1 Houston.
Well, one of the reasons why Fischel is a little bit home run conscious is that's something that the Astros are looking for, another right-handed power hitter.
His first major league home run. John Fischel, a young man from Southern California in his 4th pro season, a product of Cal State Fullerton, and he hits it out of here.
Let's watch the pitch. It's a fastball, middle half in, up a little bit, and that spells trouble. Goes up into the orange seats here at the Dome. Now that young man is not going to sleep tonight.
That is the first home run in the game and in the series. First pitch is ball 1 to Craig Reynolds. 10-1 Houston in the 8th inning. We also want to salute our flagship station, Channel 11, KPLR TV in St. Louis. 1 ball, 1 strike on Reynolds.
Well, that fine Memphis station. Maury Beich is the general manager down there in Memphis. He used to work at KPLR TV in St. Louis.
Where did we meet him, see him recently?
In West Memphis on the Caravan.
That was where we saw him, and I didn't make West Memphis that day.
Well, then you didn't see him.
Who else did I see?
Well, you probably saw him at Affiliates Day.
Probably. Where was I that day that you were in West Memphis? I know. I was in Atlantic City.
Yeah, you went for a boxing.
To see a boxing match. 2-2 on Reynolds.
You left the day before from Arkansas, from Little Rock.
That's right. We were in Little Rock. And Reynolds strikes out, 2 down. Let's give our stations a chance to identify themselves. 15 seconds worth. This is the St. Louis Cardinals television network.
This is your home for Cardinals baseball. KLJB TV Davenport.
Steve Peters in the 8th faces Alex Trevino, ball 1. Cards trail in this one, 10-1. Couple of walks, a ground out, and a fly out for Trevino. 2-0.
Hey, when you look back at this ball game, it's not the couple of walks, but it's the 8 walks that the Cardinals pitching staff has given up this in today's game, along with 13 hits.
That can hurt. 2-1. Larry McWilliams started. Not to beleaguer the point, but for those of you who are late in joining and curious how it happened, McWilliams went an inning and 2/3, gave up 5 runs. The big inning for Houston was a 6-run second when they sent 12 to the plate. John Costello got 1 out while he gave up a couple runs, and then Ken Hill came in Made his major league debut, went 3 innings, got better as he went along. Gave up 2 runs, 6 hits. Dan Quisenberry shut out the Astros over 2 innings, and this is Steve Peters' first frame. The right fielder, Curt Ford. That retires the side. The 8th sees a home run for Houston, and they lead this one 10-1. Checking our GMC truck scoreboard. Mets 2-1 over the Dodgers. Cincinnati beat Chicago. The Padres 5-2 winners at Philadelphia. It's 3-3 in the 11th. The Giants and Expos in Montreal. Pittsburgh and Atlanta rained out. They'll play 2 tomorrow. Toronto beats Texas. Chicago, Cleveland rained out. Minnesota has defeated Kansas City 8-6. Oakland over New York 5-4. Milwaukee beats Detroit again 7-3. Boston is at California. That's 1-0 Angels in the 3rd inning. And Seattle hosting Baltimore. No score in the 5th inning there. GMC truck. It's not just a truck anymore from your local Missouri and Illinois GMC truck group. And the newcomer Al referred to comes on for Houston. That'll be the youngster Brian Meyer.
Brian Meyer pitched a Double-A ball this year. He was a reliever. He gained 25 saves. He finished 2nd in the Southern League and 3rd overall in Double-A in his saves total. At Columbus, he was 4-3, ERA of 2.27, worked 62 ball games, covering 83 in the 3rd inning, 60 hits, 23 runs, 21 earned, 38 base on balls, 68 strikeouts.
And Denny Walling pops the first pitch from Meyer up and out of play. More defensive changes for Houston. The center fielder taking over is Louis Meadows. And I believe John Fischel stays in the game in left field. He does for Hatcher after pinch hitting in the 8th and hitting the home run. So Fischel is in left, Meadows in center, Poole in right, Caminetti, Reynolds, Pankovitz, and Spillman the infield. And it's Meyer and Trevino the battery. 1 ball, or check it, the 1 strike pitch takes it to 0-2.
Well, Trevino and Walling are the only 2 starters still remaining in the game.
1 ball, 2 strikes. 9th inning, Cards trail 10-1. Walling had a hit in 4 last night, a hit in 3 at bats tonight. First 2 games as a Cardinal. And he strikes out. Tell you a little bit more about Brian Meyer. Pitched in college at Rollins College in Florida. He is the nephew of the late Jack Meyer. You might remember him. He was a reliever for the Phillies, and a pretty prominent one in the late 50s. Pitched with Philadelphia from 55 to 61. This is his nephew, Brian Meyer. Curt Ford flied to center in the 7th inning. Ball 1. Meads pitched a perfect 8th inning in relief for Brian. Meyer wrapping it up here in the 9th. Needs 2 outs. And the Astros will have a victory. 1-1. And be only 5.5 behind the Western Division leading Dodgers. The Cardinals, if they fail to come back here in the 9th, will see their 5-game winning streak end, and their road record on this trip will be 6-3. 1-2.
That would be 7-3.
Be a pretty nice trip, wouldn't it? Matthews and Nepper tomorrow, 1:30. We hope you'll join us. Two and 2. Talking about Houston now, they, as we mentioned, host Cincinnati Monday and Tuesday nights. Then they begin a lengthy road trip Wednesday night in Los Angeles. They play Wednesday and Thursday next week at Dodger Stadium. Meyer to Spillman. Ford is gone. 2 outs in the 9th.
Well, the one thing, it seems as if the end of this season for the Astros, the schedule is in their favor. They finish with San Diego and Atlanta. So if they can stay close, they'll have a heck of a shot at it, because the Dodgers got to play the Giants and Cincinnati quite a bit.
The Dodgers play here on the 19th and 20th. Rod Booker, a hit in the 7th, is only at bat, and he scored the Cards' only run on Steve Lake's 2-out double. 10-1. Cards trail 9th inning, down to their last out. One ball, one strike. Probably the highlight of this game for the Cardinals was Denny Walling's stolen base in the 2nd inning. The 200th of the season for the Cardinals, giving them 200 or more stolen bases in 7 straight years. The first time it's happened since 1915. The Detroit Tigers, the last team to do it early in the century, when they were led by Ty Cobb. 2-1.
That's when Ty sharpened his spikes.
He was tough. Huey Jennings, Ty Cobb, and the Detroit Tigers.
You know, Lou Brock used to take a file to his spikes and dig little grooves.
2-2.
You know, not to sharpen them to a sharp point, but he would put little grooves in there for better traction.
Three and 2 on Booker here with 2 outs in the 9th inning. Just kind of give this spike a little ragged edge.
Well, he put little grooves in there so he could get traction. That was, you know, Lou, it's a genius.
And you waited all this time into the '88 season to tell us that. And you just barely got it in. The Cards go in order in the 9th. They're out hit here tonight, 13-4. They run into Nolan Ryan through 7. Then Dave Meads and the rookie Brian Meyer, and a big 6-run 2nd inning for Houston. And the series is even now to victory aside. They'll decide the series here tomorrow afternoon, and we'll be with you at 1:30. Houston wins it 10-1. Al and I return to the Astrodome in just a moment. The Houston Astros with a lot of offense tonight. They rough up Larry McWilliams and John Costello. They roll half a dozen onto the board in the 2nd inning. Nolan Ryan goes 7. He's 10-11 with a victory. Larry McWilliams has had a tough time lately. He is 4-6. He has not won since he beat the Astros here on the 31st of May and has dropped 6 since. 10-1. Houston wins it tonight. Nolan Ryan, a big story. And the Cardinals will just have to come out Al Hrabosky and win it tomorrow.
Oh, I think that's it, Kenny. A lot of times when you get to a lopsided game just like this one, you can forget about it a lot easier. And so they knew early that they were not going to come back against a future Hall of Famer, Nolan Ryan. Forget it. All the regulars got a little bit of rest. Let's come back and score and get a closeout victory on this long road trip.
We paid to see some Nolan Ryan strikeouts. He obliged. Nolan Ryan came up with 8 strikeouts, and he now has 204 on the year.
This is number 8 to breaking ball to Mike Laga, and you can see with that excellent fastball he has, then if he can get his breaking ball over or ahead in the count and throw it, he's in trouble.
Our Budweiser player of the game is Nolan Ryan. For all you do, this Bud's for you. 10-1 the final. Houston wins it. Back in Houston after this timeout. Houston wins it tonight 10-1. Al Hrabosky, now the Houston Astros, on the heels of the Dodgers loss 2-1 at Shea Stadium today to the Mets, are only 5.5 back. And well, 5.5 is a long way to go with Labor Day beckoning, but you got to feel they still have a shot.
I really do, Kenny. I think that with their good pitching staff, their good bullpen, they will stay in every game. And you look at that offense of the Dodgers. If Gibson's out for extended period of time, Marshall's hurt, they aren't going to score a lot of runs. They have good pitching also, but they've been suspect all season long.
And as far as the Cardinals concerned, you hate to see a 5-game winning streak come to an end, but you're just thrilled to have a 5-game streak. You see a lot of youngsters tonight. A lot of people get a chance to play.
Well, you knew you can't win all the rest of the ball games. You're going to lose every now and then. It just wasn't their night tonight, but you start a new streak tomorrow.
Well, tomorrow it'll be Greg Matthews against Bob Knepper. One of the strong suits we've talked about over and over is the starting pitching. And one of the things Whitey has said is he has 6 pitchers in mind for that starting rotation. McGrain, Matthews, De Leon, Cox, Scott Terry, and Larry McWilliams. McWilliams hasn't started much lately, but Whitey is looking at him as one of his 6, at least to go into spring training.
And that's always nice to have that addition, not have one guy that you need to subtract instead of going out there and trying to find 2 or 3. I also hear some rumors and reports that the Cardinals may be willing to go into that free agent market and pick up a starting pitcher, a stopper.
And the name that I keep hearing mentioned is Mike Moore, the former #1 draft pick who pitches for the Seattle Mariners. And, of course, a lot of teams would like to get a fellow like him.
Yeah, of course, that's the fact. You've got 24 other clubs, including Seattle, that would like to retain him.
Well, as far as the Cardinals are concerned now, Al, here you are in September, coming up to the 4th of September tomorrow, Labor Day on Monday, back home, 2 more homestands. You play for fun, you play for pride, you play for as many victories as you can, and maybe still a shot to finish ahead of the Chicago Cubs and maybe even Montreal.
Well, I think that's what you try to envision, is placing yourself in 3rd spot. You've got the schedule to fulfill. Ball players like to win as many as possible, so why not defeat and also have a little fun as a spoiler.
As far as the Cardinals are concerned, at the moment they have 3 fewer wins than Chicago. So they've got some work to do, and of course we'll see the Cubs soon for the big weekend series at Busch, and also we'll see them again in Chicago. And we'll see you again in a moment. We'll close things out in Houston after this message. Tomorrow afternoon, we invite you to join us again here at the Astrodome in Houston, the wrap-up game of the 3-game series, and for the Cardinals, the final game of a 10-game road trip. 1:30 here on the Cardinals Television Network. For Al Roboski, Ken Wilson, thanks for joining us tonight here in Houston. Once again, the final score, the Houston Astros 10, the St. Louis Cardinals 1. St. Louis Cardinals baseball has been a presentation of Bud Sports through the facilities of KPLR TV.